Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you might be. My name is Marva B. I am the CEO and founder of Black Link Magazine. We are a national publication and we are everywhere. We're so excited tonight to have our special guest, Miss Cierra Sims, in the building tonight, sitting down with Black Link Magazine. Cierra, welcome.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Well, I'm so excited that you said yes, and we can get right into this interview. So, if you would, go ahead and share who you are and what you do with our audience.
Well, hello, audience. It's very nice to meet you all. So I do go by CiCi, and now that we're all family, feel free to call me CiCi.
Absolutely.
But I am an entrepreneur. I have three separate business entities that I work on and own. And one of them is the Black Male X Foundation, is a nonprofit organization, and we help men in the community with resources to be able to have a safe space to authentically grow and be empowered amongst others who are like-minded and allies. I also own CiCi Events and Services. We are a for-profit event planning and wedding planning service. And so we plan conferences, birthday parties, baby showers, and also we have weddings as well that we focus on. And we also have a production side to it too. So we do some production with it. Super exciting and it's fun. And then lastly, I am a motivational speaker, professional development speaker, and consultant. So on that side of the house, I do a lot of financial technology consulting and professional development consulting. And also really just guiding people through, utilizing them in their best selves in order to develop and evolve in the way they want to, either from the financial space if I'm working with a bank or a credit union, or from a personal standpoint, and really just to help them to be better with self.
That is amazing. You wear so many hats, like we all do, I think. And where do we find the time? But congratulations on all three of your entities. As a Black woman entrepreneur, is just amazing to be able to be successful in your own lane. So let's talk about is it the Black Male X Foundation? Like, let me tell you this. You always hear about helping women. So, like I have an event we have every year, Rise Queen. And got to thinking about it, I was like, well, what about the men? So we added and kings because people always forget about the men. So talk
Mhm.
about your foundation and how you came up with it, what inspired you to do it, and how you guys function.
Well, going back to how it even came to fruition, it really started back when I was born. I have three older brothers,
Oh,
and with having three older brothers, I'm the only girl and I'm the baby.
yeah.
So having those three older brothers, it really, really set the foundation as to what was going to grow and be a part of my life. I truly, truly believe that. All three of my brothers have different stages of life to where I've interacted. My oldest brother, he is a character. So he's the person that I truly thought of developing the piece about empowerment and being encouraged.
Uh-huh.
So I really consider that my oldest brother's pillar.
Right.
My second to oldest brother, my middle brother, he passed away when he was 19 years old. And I was only 6 years old when he passed away. So I have vivid memories of him. I see pictures, I see videos, I see, the things that happened in his life, which led to his transition and the places and spaces he was in. And for him, and his pillar is really just that focus of education.
Mhm.
And I really wanted to focus on building that wealth, because maybe if I those things were resources available to him at the time, he would have made other decisions
Yeah.
and could have had a different outcome. And
Right.
if I can save that, then maybe I can save someone else.
Right.
So that's those two. And then my other brother, my last brother, him and I are closest in age, he is my health and wellness person that I focus on when it comes to that pillar. And that's because health is really important to him. he was a football player all through high school. And then now in his life, he is about to be 40 and he's really focusing on changing his health. And it's really, really important to him. He's engaged, my niece in those things. And so I thought that was important for me to focus on the health pillar. And that's my brother's pillar, that brother's pillar. And so all four of those pillars together build the Black Male X Foundation.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how I even stemmed to it. Now, last year, how this transition 30 years later, right? I was on a Facebook group and there was a young man who put into the Facebook group he needed a therapist. He was going through a lot.
Hmm.
And on that post, I just kind of clicked on it to see who would have popped up. Now, by this time, I was already speaking at other women events. Like you said, there's always something for the women.
Right.
And I found myself constantly speaking at women events. Men would be sprinkled in there, but you knew it was not for men. The
Right.
color scheme, the speakers, everything was geared
Yeah.
toward, even though men were invited.
Yeah.
And so when I saw that, and then I saw on the thread, me too, brother, me too, bro. When you find somebody, let me know, like hundreds of comments
Wow.
saying the same thing. I'm an
Wow.
event planner. So I took what I knew how to do and incorporated it into what I knew I could do for the community.
Mm.
And hence the Black Male X.
That is so exciting. Like the whole meaning and the whole inspiration of your brothers. And so, how long have you guys been a foundation?
We actually just started. So we got our 501(c)(3) in November and
Okay.
honestly just hitting the ground running since getting our programs and also the Black Male X Conference, which is happening at the end of June. That is one of our largest programs and also our largest fundraising activity and scholarship recipient awards ceremony that we kind of encompassed all into one in one space. So last year when we did the conference, it was not a nonprofit yet. It was actually somebody at the event who encouraged it to turn into a nonprofit.
Like men, we forget about men's mental health. We forget they have emotions and feelings. We forget they need help sometime, right? Because they are the strong ones, they're the provider, they're all that,
Right.
which makes them have emotions and sometimes mental health issues and stuff. And so we have to remember our men as well.
And one thing that I've noticed is when I get calls about it, I'm the face. I'm literally the face, but I'm the face to provide the space for you all to do what you need to do in that room.
Right.
I'm creating the space, you have to show up.
That's
I
it.
have my speakers that show up. I have those who are willing to help show up. I have therapists show up. I have those who are in the spaces and places dedicating their time to show up for them. And I let them have the space. I'm in the room to say welcome. I'm in the room at the end to say goodbye.
Yeah.
That middle, the meat and potatoes, the true
That's
center and
right.
focus of what they're doing, that is what they create on their own,
Yeah.
whether that's networking partnerships, whatever comes from that middle portion, from that 9 until 10 o'clock at night, we're in different places. That's on you to create that. That is on them. We close the doors as women. We're there to help.
Yeah.
A lot of my volunteers are women, just more there in an allyship service standpoint.
Right.
I appreciate them as well. But we close the doors on the space and they take over.
I am mad at that. I am not mad. You're also an event planner. Talk about what's your inspiration? Like, how did you get into event planning and how did you grow it? How did you build on it?
Well, the event planning part came from, my personality, how I am. I'm a very detailed oriented person. The small things matter. And trying to figure out how I could take that space and my creative space and
Hmm.
join them together to really give others their time back.
Right.
That is my whole mission when I'm doing event planning. I want to be able to be the one to execute
Mhm.
and make sure that you get to make your memories and to make sure that you have your time. Planning events is stressful. And I noticed that even with when I started out doing just events for my job at the time. They would have little graduation ceremonies, they would have baby showers for people. And being the planner behind all of that, that's how I was like, okay, I'm a creative person. I can do this.
Mhm.
And then I took my actual skill sets, which is organization, which is key attentions to details,
Mhm.
which is not being afraid to try something different,
Mhm.
really great negotiation skills, though all those things, and I'm really good at networking. So all of those things encompass being able to be an event planner and really building relationships because you're in the people business. And I've got really good about being in the people business. So
Right.
I took it and grew it and continuously building events that bring people in the community together.
And it's something you like, you love, right? It's
Yes,
something you love to
yes,
do. So you're getting to do what you love to do, and it helps other people.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I like that. And so there's a third uh business to you, right? You said the blackmail,
Mhm.
the event planning. Oh, how could I forget that? A public speaker, right?
Yes.
Public speaker. So tell me about that and tell me how you got into that.
So I already knew I had something to say. My voice carries, and I knew my voice carried, and I always knew there was a story there. I just never knew how to really get that story out there. I
Right.
needed some training on that. When I was in college, I started out doing computer programming. I thought I was going to follow in the same footsteps as my mom. My mom was an engineering technician for Intel. And so I thought that was going to be me. I was going to be in the tech space in that regard. I was going to follow what she already laid set. One day she invited me to, the bring your child to work day.
Yeah.
We did one of that. And she had me put these little computer chips that she was looking underneath a microscope in bags and trying to tell me everything she was doing. And that was the day I knew that was not for me. Um,
Right.
so I immediately changed my major from computer programming to business communication.
Uh-huh.
And so I started going to school for business communication. And in that encompass, you had to take public speaking.
Yeah.
And I loved it. They teach you how to speak impromptu. They teach you about body language, nonverbal and verbal communication, how to really speak and show up, and how to tell stories. So really great at storytelling. And that is a skill set.
Mm-hmm.
You have to also have active listening and understand what pseudo listening looks like. Pseudo
Mm-hmm.
listening is listening and agreeing, but you're really not there,
Mm-hmm.
not actively participating in the
Right.
listening process. So a lot of those things and those skill sets are really what I knew I had, but I couldn't figure out my story.
Right.
So I went to a training that was taught by It's called "Give Me the Mic" training
Uh-huh.
through Dr. Will Moreland and Moreland and Associates. And I got certified. I became a certified public speaker and been going ever since. I speak at schools, I speak for businesses, I speak at conferences, and yeah, ended up becoming an author from it. Two-time Amazon bestsellers. So yeah, so there's stories in there. So now I have several keynotes that I have learned to create and that I deliver.
You said that you have learned to create. Tell me a little bit more about that. The creation
So
of the keynotes.
yes, it is a process, creating a keynote. So in that process, there are healings and things about your personal journey that you have to go through when you are creating your storytelling journey of creating a keynote. It has to do with how did you get out of a situation? What were the results of a situation or something that occurred within your life? And what were the crucial steps that were taken in order for you to get there? So you're working backwards. It's refreshing, it's healing, it makes you mad all over again
Yeah.
because you have to deal with those things
Right.
and be
Right.
able to deliver it on a
Right.
stage. Um, and then you start with what is your call to action? You
Mm-hmm.
have to learn to create that. What is it that you want them to leave feeling?
Mm-hmm.
How do you want to transform their life? So, learning all of those different things, I can give you a brief example. When I created You Have a Choice, choice is an acronym. And so you have a choice is what I deliver when I'm speaking at schools. And it talks about what are you going to do when you have choices that you have to make as an adult? I usually bring this to either juniors or seniors
Uh-huh.
and really getting them thinking about life after high school
Mhm.
because it's coming. And we go through all the decision-making processes and how to take accountability and how to make sound decisions when you are still young and when you are now about to be on your own and everything's not structured for you.
That's
What
right.
was my call to action for them? My call to action was learning how to make a decision. Start thinking about and writing down the decision-making process for you and how that's going to look. So, I told personal stories, but I related. You have to make it relatable. So I told my own high school journey stories
Great.
of how I had to make choices, go
Yep.
to prom or stay at the track meet, and because we won state, so be the state, one of the captains, and we won. We had to. You
Yeah.
could have, but I chose to stay versus going to prom. So
Right.
like there's so many different elements to it and stories you can share, but you working through those different stories that you have to develop your different keynote speaking engagements that you have.
What are you telling young adults or people that come up behind you that just can't figure it out, right? I don't like you thought, well, your mom was doing that you were going to be doing, right? What are you telling young adults or people that come behind you that's saying, dang, I just don't know what it is. I thought it was this, it wasn't. I thought it was this. I'm in this limbo. What's your best advice?
Keep trying. Don't give up. There's a purpose there for you. I say be intentional about your planning. Be intentional about who you are. When you learn who you are authentically, when you learn who you are and understand whose you are,
Mm,
you can do anything that you set your mind to, but you have to plan for it.
mm-hmm,
You have to do the work.
mm-hmm.
And so I always encourage those who, ask me that similar question. I get asked that a lot. You got to do the work. I had to do the work. I had to do the research. I had to do the work. And I had to understand that it was not going to be handed to me. They have to understand that work is involved with it, whether it's a little bit of work where it's just you researching, or you have to put some boots on the ground and really dig deep and do some work. Work on your mental. You have to understand where your mentality is. Are you doing beyond positive thinking, or are you still in your stagnant mind frame? Because if so, how do we need to elevate and move into a different mind frame to be able to get you to think creatively about who you are and what you want to do, the things, what is your greatness? But you can't figure out your greatness if you are in a complacent mindset. You
Wow.
can't. You have to be able to construct your mind to think positive about different outcomes.
You know what I like about that is you have to work at it, right? Because too many, like these days, children are just waiting for it to be handed to them. Like they don't feel like it. I don't feel like it. You want it, but you don't want to put the work in. And it doesn't like the message from me to them is that nothing's going to just fall in your lap, right?
Right.
Find what you love to do and like you said, put the work in to get it. And it's so worth it. I don't care if you something every day that you're doing a little bit towards that, but you're working to do it. You're not waiting, expecting someone to just say, here it is, right? And I think that you do better when you have to work for it, right? You cherish it a little bit better. You respect it a little bit better because you put the work in.
Absolutely. And, a lot of people aren't ready for those hard conversations.
Oh,
They're not ready to deal with trauma. They're not ready to deal with their own decisions that they've made in the past. They're not ready to come to light with those things. And until they are ready to deal with some of those things, really all of those things, then they're going to remain stagnant. You have to be open-minded. Like as much as I do, and how my life has advanced, I'm getting drilled every day, and I love it to death. It's hard. I hate it,
yeah.
but it's necessary. And I am getting slapped in the face constantly with reality of who I am, what I've done, and who I've become. And how does all of that, when all the lights are off and CiCi has to look in the mirror, who CiCi is without what CiCi does?
Wow.
Two different things. And so I'm having to peel my own onion back to say, who am I
Yeah.
without the things I do?
Yeah. And I think that if you don't, CiCi, right, that how can you go and stand in front of people and deliver you who you are, right? How can you do
Exactly.
that if you don't even know who you are, right? How can you go and give
Exactly.
them an authentic CC if you haven't even realized who you are? How can I say who Marva is to people and stand in front of them and give them what I think I'm giving them and I don't even know who I am, right?
Right.
I like that. I like that. That's
Yep.
amazing. That's amazing.
Constant work. It's constant work, but it's refreshing and it helps you to build your purpose. So, who I am today at 37 was not the same person I was at 27,
Ab-
17.
Absolutely. And I think that if you're not growing, if you're still who you were at 27, at 37, there's a problem, right? That
Yes.
you're not growing and evolving and you learn and you're a different person. And so you have to, I think, and you can tell me, you can elaborate on this. I think that you have to be in tune with yourself consistently and you have to take a time out to figure out who you are consistently. Like you think you know, but yet you've learned all this in 5 years. You're not who you was 5 years ago.
Oh no, the learning process is always ongoing. Study shows that every 3 years you should be evolving. Whether you're evolving professionally, you're evolving personally, but every 3 years on average, a person's mindset grows and they've learned new tools to be able to reevaluate themselves, their circle, and their personal and professional dynamics to where they should be growing. Every 3 years. Just think about that. So at 34, I am definitely not the same person I was at 34. Life experiences have happened, things have changed. So I have to then reevaluate what
Reevaluate.
37 looks like.
That's right. Like it's either you're gonna, and there's no in between. Either you're gonna stay stagnant and just be that, or you're gonna figure out ways to continuously get to the next level and grow and evolve. And how do you do that? How important is it to you? And are you willing to put the work in to be something better than you was yesterday? I could talk to.
Yeah, I know these type of topics I could talk about
Yes.
all day because understanding people's why, understanding your why and helping you to navigate your why, that is my purpose.
I've heard people say to me, I don't know what my why is. How do they figure that out?
So what I tell them is let's go back to the beginning.
Hmm.
Tell me about your childhood.
Hmm.
How was it when you were between the ages of 0 and 10? What happened? What was your childhood like? What were your parents like? What was your family like? Tell me about what activities you did. We need to start back at the beginning. So if they don't understand their why now, then there's something that they are missing
Hmm.
from their childhood, their teenage years, their young adult years, and we need to figure out what series of events have happened in these decades that you've been alive as to why you do the things you do, the way you think. And then when you're building that, so it's easier to do it when you have more than one person with you trying to do it who's like minded, who
Yeah.
can understand what it is you're trying to look for. And when you break those things down, your why and your purpose are in those memories. They're in those events. They're in those
Oh,
that you did and what you looked at. And so when you go back and you start thinking about what did my 0 to 10 look like? Oh man, I was bullied. I was hurt. My mom tried the best she could. My dad, he was here. He used to take me on roller coasters. Oh, so you like excitement, you like creativity, all those things. All these things start to develop when you're in that developmental age, 0 to 10. When you got to your adolescent years, from 11 until your next 10 years, your 20s. What happened? What happened when you were in high school? How'd you do? What did you think? What was it like? Did you have to deal with peer pressure? Did you give in to it? All these things. Then there's another set of things, activities, events, decisions that had to be made in a different mindset. Let's go to your 20s. Let's go to your 30s. So that is what I tell people to do, but they got to do the work. And it's emotional.
it's
It's emotional.
as you were saying that, I was like, okay, what did I do? 0 to 10. Like in my mind, right? I'm thinking,
See?
I was like, woo, we get to my
And
20s,
that's the
like,
key.
woo. Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's emotional. It takes time.
I'm
It
gonna
takes
do it.
energy. It takes honesty, authenticity, and you have to be able to be vulnerable with yourself and those who you have entrusted with these things that you are saying. You have to be able to be okay with being vulnerable with them because we're gonna pull. If you come to me and you're my client, I'm gonna pull some stuff out of you, and you're not gonna like it. You're gonna be upset. You're going to fight it. But guess what? It's your story.
Yeah,
That is how you find your keynote. That's how you find your voice. That's how you find your purpose in your past and what you're doing about it now. And how, you have a story to tell because your purpose is to save the next generation, to save the next person. You can't do that if you don't come to terms with what you have been through.
wow. Girl, I need you to come to Oklahoma.
I'll go to Oklahoma. I like Oklahoma.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay. So you're an author, you're a best-selling author. Let's talk about your books and what inspired there. What do you want your audience to get from those books? Let's talk about it.
So the books, both of them, they are collaboration books. I was in a space at the time. I was like, do I go the route of being an author? I wanted to get something under my belt
Yeah.
to say I did it. I did these when I was in my 34, 35 age range. And so I did two collaborative books with amazing, amazing women who also had stories to share. And I wanted to be comfortable with sharing these intimate stories that I had to share. So I did it collaboratively. And so together, the very first one was called Women Rising 2. My chapter in that book has to do with my journey of building confidence. It's called My Confidence is Not Confidential. And
Okay.
it was my journey of building that and being okay with who I was. And so I talked through that entire decade journey
Yeah.
about that topic.
Wow.
Very releasing. I realized that very releasing. So when it became Amazon best-selling author in three categories, I was like, wow, that was literally every category was the journey. The ladies that I met who also are a part of that. And even the second book we provided inspiration. It's called Lessons Learned. That one just providing the inspiration. It was like the preface was the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. And then the second one is like the revamp or after you've already crossed, this is what you need to keep going. And
Right.
the ladies had amazing, amazing journeys to share. And I was so excited to be able to have that experience with all of them.
Wow. That's so amazing. Like I love seeing and our black women, young black women doing their thing and just, going in the right direction, being that example for people that are looking at you that you don't even know are watching you and your face that looks like them, right? That they can do all things through Christ and then through their hard work to get them there. So I appreciate you. I
Of
appreciate you and
course.
your
I
work.
appreciate you
How,
too.
yeah, how can people connect with you on all social media sites?
So on Facebook, you can find me, Cierra Conerly-Sims. You can also connect with me through the Black Male X Foundation on Facebook or CiCi Vincent Services LLC on Facebook. We there. And then on Instagram at CiCi Sims is available or at the Black Male X. And as you can see, black is not spelled all the way out. It's spelled BLK. It stands for Boss Leader King. Um,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. And the X stands for experience. So we're talking about the Black male experience. Find me on those places. Yeah, so those are my places. And then also on Instagram, you can find me at CiCi Vincent Services as
I'm
well.
all about networking and collaboration. And it's just like you're on the like we're on the same wavelength somehow, and I just appreciate you. So you guys listen, we're gonna go for now. Make sure you go and follow her on all of her social media sites. Go get that book on Amazon, both those books on Amazon, and be encouraged by that. So we're gonna go for now, you guys. But remember, respect yourself, respect each other. God bless.